Hey guys, it's your boy Just Spider J here, and today let's talk about, was Christina truly evil? Yeah, Christina, the 1983 Stephen King film. Now, hold up, let's hold on that thought for a second. Do you remember your first car? See, I think everybody remember their first time driving a car. Matter of fact, my experience went terrible. I damn near crashed the whip into a ditch. And when I mean by whip, I mean my mom's Chevrolet Aveo. Yeah, let's move on. I'm just joking. My first experience actually went pretty well. Now, your first car is supposed to signify independence and responsibility, teaching you life skills like maintenance and self-reliance, and usually associated with strong emotional ties, whether it's a hand-me-down clunker or a dream machine, becoming a personal symbol of growing up and adventure. Sorry for all my yapping, but what I'm trying to say is this. Basically, all those things that I said, what if I told you the opposite happened to Arnie Cunningham and his car Christina, along with, was Christina truly evil? So let's get into it. Alright, picture this. Stephen King, back in the day, just chilling in Florida, probably in some retro Hawaiian shirt, and he stumbled upon this old beat up Plymouth Fury at a gas station. And then he thinks, whoa, this car is giving me some serious spooky vibes. That little moment was a seed for Christine. And then from there, he let his imagination run wild. The odometer rolling back, that's just a genius touch showing that the car got some supernatural mojo. So pretty much so, in a nutshell, it was all about that creepy car encounter, letting his mind run wild with it. So the movie opens up in Detroit in 1957, where Christine's being built inside of an assembly plant. What makes this scene so sinister is the fact that she's the only red color car. So the manufacturer worker tried to do some final repairs on the car, but that ended in a bad accident. As soon as he tried to check at the bottom of the car, weirdly the car hood comes down on the manufacturer's worker hand. Let's say the manager had a handy situation. That wasn't funny? My bad. So the manufacturer worker ended up getting some medical assistance. So the other manufacturer worker sees the other guy leaving the accident that occurred, and he decides, yeah, let me go and sit in the car. Now look, you can call me superstitious, but I'm not getting into a car that I basically just watched the man's hand get chopped off. So the manufacturer worker decides to turn on the car radio and then proceed to dump a cigar ash on the plastic seat cover sheets. And I guess Christine starts seeing red. So everybody get ready to leave the factory to go home. The supervisor goes and checks the red car and realizes the car radio is still on. Then he proceeds to open the door and realize it's a dead body. Christine managed to almost cut open a man's arm off, and then she caught her first body. And all of this happened in the first day. And you know I gotta bring up the fact that the black character was the first person to die in the movie already off rip. The fact that I posted this on Black History Month, this is crazy. You can't make this up.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
So now it's 1997 and September the 12th in Rottnebridge, California. So now we get our first main character. His name is Arnie Cunningham. He's portrayed as a kind of typical high school nerd. He's shy, he's a bit socially awkward, and not very confident. He often gets picked on, but we'll get into that later. And now we have Arnie's best friend, Dennis Gowder. Now Dennis is basically Arnie's athletic jock popular friend, and he's pretty grounded, and he always looking out for Arnie. So Dennis picks up Arnie so they can go to school. Then Dennis jokes about how it's their final high school year and that it could be his chance to, you know, have a little bit of luck with the girls. So the next scene, Dennis and Arnie sees the new girl. Her name is Lee Cabot. She just transferred to their school, and she plays a significant role in the plot of the story. So now Dennis is looking for Arnie, and you can tell by his face he was very concerned. Then Dennis ends up seeing a dude that he knows. He asks the dude, where's Arnie? And then the dude tells him he's inside the shop still. And then Dennis asks the dude, what's the matter? And the way the dude was looking, you could tell that Arnie was in trouble. So now Dennis ends up finding Arnie at the workshop. And here you meet his bullies, Buddy Repperton and his gang. Buddy Repperton is basically the ringleader. And then you have Mooch and the other members that support Buddy Repperton, being a nuisance to Arnie Cunningham, and they all tend to follow Buddy Repperton's lead and adding that bully dynamic. So now Buddy Repperton has Arnie's lunch bag that his mom made him. Then Buddy start playing around with Arnie's lunch bag. Then he pulls out a knife and stabs Arnie's lunch bag. Then Dennis decide that things might turn left. Then he tell one of the guys in the workshop to go get the teacher, Mr. Casey. Then Buddy tells Arnie, come on, do you want to go for it? While he has the knife in his hand, Arnie tells him, put the knife down, and then I will. So then Dennis told Buddy to put the knife down. Then Buddy turns around and says,
do you want to make me put it down?
Now, if I was Dennis in that moment, I would have been like, you talking to me? Because the way you said that did not sound like you was talking to me. Now remind you, he's surrounded by a whole group of guys. It's not one girl in there. Then Dennis tells Buddy that he's chicken shit because he has a knife and Arnie doesn't. And then Arnie agrees to Dennis, and then he goes on to say, yeah, you're a chicken shit. So basically, Dennis and Arnie pretty much try to rage bait him, and it did not work at all. So Dennis basically tried to walk up to Buddy and stop him from using a knife on Arnie, but he ended up getting tripped by Mooch and the other members. And then one of the members that was behind Arnie pushes him, and then he slips on his own lunch food that Buddy Repperton stabbed with the knife. Then Arnie loses his glasses. Then Buddy Repperton had this nigga looking around for his glasses like he Velma for Scooby-Doo. Arnie was just about to find his glasses, but Buddy ended up stepping on him. Arnie looks up and sees that Buddy just sitting there smiling with the knife. And then my boy Dennis came out of nowhere and knocks the knife out of Buddy Repperton's hand. And then this nigga Dennis hit this nigga with a right hook. This nigga ended up falling inside some boxes. Then Mooch come behind Dennis and sneak attacked him and grabbed this man manhood.
Emotional damage.
See, I don't know what's going on lately, but this is the second time this has happened. In my first video, the leprechaun did the same thing. I just have one question. Why is that the first thing you want to do trying to sneak attack somebody? Like, oh yeah, let me go behind this dude and grab his tennis balls. I'ma just side-eye all the screenwriters at this point, because what the fuck? So long story short, Mr. Casey comes in right before things start getting terrible. So the next scene opens up with Arnie and Dennis are driving through a sketchy neighborhood, and they come across this old beat up red 1958 Planet Fury. Her name is Christine. When Arnie sees Christine for the first time, you would have thought this man saw a brand new car, but no, it's just a rusted rust bucket. So Dennis tells Arnie, bro, this is not it. This car is a straight up 2-pack of
ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
But Dennis failed to understand. Arnie can care less that the car is falling apart. He sees something special in it. Dennis noticed that the odometer meter has 93,000 miles left on the meter. He tells Arnie that it probably only have 193 miles left on it. Then Dennis bet him that the car won't even start up. Now we have George LeBay. George is not the previous owner. He's the brother of the original owner of Christine. So when Dennis said, I bet the car wouldn't start up, that's when he popped up and said, yeah, she will. See, Dennis knew something was awfully weird about this guy. I mean, look at him. I'm not gonna lie. In that situation, if I was Dennis and Arnie's my best friend, I'm gonna look at that dude who's selling him that car and I'm gonna tell him this.
You are creepy as shit.
Now to come to think of it, he looks like that nigga from that one movie. Oh no, that nigga gave me straight nightmares when I was little. Even to the point, if I'm playing basketball at my grandparents' house and the ball just happened to go in somebody else's yard, I think of this nigga, like that ball is staying there. I'm not getting that shit. Arnie leans over and says, man, George, how much you want for this car? And George just shrugs and says, whatever is enough. Dennis looks away, all worried, and then he says, Jesus. Then George asks, you ever owned a car before? Then Dennis was about to lie for Arnie, and then he says, yeah, he owns a Mustang. But Arnie ended up pretty much knocking him on the side and like, nah. And then he say, I just got my license. And then Arnie asked George straight up, what are you asking? Then George tossed Arnie the keys and say, start her up. He tells Arnie her name is Christine. And Arnie, he just nods and smiles like, yeah, I like that. Meanwhile, Dennis in the background sighing and shaking his head. Then George drops some lore about the car. He says, my oldest brother got her back in September in 1957 when they first roll out that new model of the year. And then he goes on to say, she smelled brand new. And just like that, Arnie's all in. And we know this is only the start. So George brings up the fact that the money is not really important. And the fact that Arnie's buying the car from George. George says, I don't want you bringing that car back here. As if he's not going to sell the car to somebody else. Then George nods, I get the pink slip. And then Arnie is just hyped like a kid at the candy store. Then Dennis step up and pretty much goes to Arnie and says, hold up, wait, where are you getting this money from? And then Arnie pretty much tells him that he's been saving his money up. Then Dennis says, yeah, for college. And then Arnie tells Dennis that it's easy for him to say because he already has a car. Then Dennis tells Arnie that the dude is pretty much messing with him because ain't no way this old man is finna sell Arnie this rusted old clunk of a car. And then Dennis told Arnie, the amount of money that you putting into this rust bucket, you can easily get a decent car with that amount of money that you're spending. And then Arnie replies, yeah, for Christine. And I already told you guys, Dennis already knew this dude was kind of sketchy. He goes on to tell Arnie that the dude is pretty much weird, but Arnie doesn't care about that. He goes on to just ask the dude about the price range that he asked for the car. Dennis step in again and try to stop Arnie from buying the car and says, since this is a good idea, why we just don't wait till tomorrow? Arnie brings up to Dennis that he doesn't realize she's 20 years old. That means she's officially an antique. Dennis brings up that he can pretty much go to Darnell's junkyard and find a full of different type of antique cars. But Arnie shakes his head and says, I don't care what you say, I'm going to buy her. And then Dennis tells Arnie, all right, man, that's your funeral. Then Dennis walk up to George and says, look, mister, will you just give Arnie a break? He's just a stupid kid and he doesn't know what he's doing. And George kind of cold say, you don't know half as much as you think you do. Then he just shakes his head and mumbles, shitter. So the next scene opens up with Arnie Cunningham is discussing with his family about why he bought the raggedy car. Now Arnie Cunningham feel like his family is controlling him on his decision on buying a car. And I'm not gonna lie, that was his decision. But it also led to basically a whole argument between his mom and his dad about why he didn't console them about buying a car. And the fact that Arnie is 17 years old, his parents pretty much feel like he shouldn't have the right to even buy a car without them having the permission to let him do so. Meanwhile, Dennis just sitting there watching this go down. And then Arnie's Cunningham mother pretty much asks Dennis why you didn't stop him, when clearly he tried so many times to tell Arnie Cunningham not to buy the car. Now when I was watching this part of the movie, Arnie Cunningham mother was the only one truly mad about the situation, and his father was just sitting there agreeing to everything the mother was basically just saying. Now do I agree on Arnie Cunningham making that decision? No, he definitely should have told his parents before he tried to buy the car. And I definitely don't agree that the mother should be blaming Dennis on the reason for Arnie buying that car. Arnie literally told Dennis that he doesn't care about how he feels about him buying that car. So long story short, Arnie Cunningham's mother told him he can no longer keep the car in the front yard anymore. And that led him to basically having to take it to Darnell's junkyard. So here we have Darnell. Darnell is talking to Dennis about he recalls the previous owner of the car meeting a tragic ending. He remembered hearing the owner took his own life. And he also brought up another fact that the previous owner was pretty much a really mean guy. So Darnell meets Arnie Cunningham and he kind of sizes him up and gives him a practical warning, like if he's going to keep the car here, he basically got to make payments every other month to keep the car there. So Dennis ended up driving Arnie back home. So right before Arnie gets out the car, Dennis asks Arnie, are you okay? And then Arnie tells him, yeah, I'm fine. And then Arnie tells Dennis, you gotta find yourself another charity besides me and Christine. Then Dennis carefully looks by his window and then turn around and calmly asks, what is it about that car? And then Arnie carefully says, I don't know. Maybe for the first time in my life, I finally found something uglier than me, and I know I can fix her up. And then Dennis carefully says, "You're not ugly, Arnie." And then Arnie tells Dennis, "I know what I am." So the next scene opens up with Dennis and his two football friends. Now, Dennis and his two football friends are some freakazoids, okay? Because they were just watching Lee Cabot play with a pencil in her mouth. Then Dennis' friend said he wished he was the pencil. Now, mind you, this is all happening when they in the library, and Dennis' friends are choosing to be freaked out early in the morning. You see, when I was in high school, I didn't even want to talk to nobody in the morning time. I didn't even want to say good morning to nobody. So the fact that these niggas are being so freaked out early in the morning, it's already diabolical. So Dennis been staring at Lee Cabot for so long that his friend said you might as well ask her out. So Dennis goes to try to approach Lee Cabot, but he ended up walking up to some books and getting a random book because he's not trying to get caught by the librarian. So he ended up sitting next to Lee Cabot and started asking her questions like, "Do you like music and do you like to dance?" So Lee Cabot starts shaking her head like, yeah, she's agreeing to it. And the way my boy Dennis was moving, this nigga was in straight flow state at this point. You would have thought this nigga wouldn't miss. But sadly, the higher they rise, the harder they fall. But the whole time, he's really moving like this. So he proceeds to ask Lee Cabot if he can go on a date with her on that upcoming Friday after the football game. But she ended up telling him that she already has a date already. So long story short, this nigga Dennis had to walk off with that slump face. So the next scene opens up with Dennis pulling up to Arnie's house, and I guess Dennis and Arnie had something planned, but Arnie forgot to call Dennis to tell him that he gotta cancel the plan. And Dennis also noticed that Arnie doesn't have his glasses anymore. And then when Arnie and Dennis were having a whole conversation about the canceled plans, Arnie's mother rushed in all concerned and asked Dennis, "Are you gonna go with him?" And then Dennis asked Arnie, "Am I?" And then Arnie answered quickly and said, "No, I got an errand to do for Darnell." Then Dennis calmly asked Arnie, "Do you need a ride to Darnell's junkyard?" And he said no. So Arnie has Darnell's car, so he could pretty much just drive to the junkyard himself. So just before Arnie walks off, Dennis tells Arnie that it was okay that he canceled the plans. And then Arnie's mom rushed in again and says, "Did you have plans with Dennis?" And then she went on to say if Arnie Cunningham pretty much keep acting like this, that he would never have any friends if he keep treating people like this. But Arnie keeps walking past everybody like he doesn't really care about the situation. So Arnie's mother asked Dennis, "You his friend, what's going on?" And with a shocked face, Dennis tells her, "I don't know." So Dennis tells Arnie's mother that he hardly sees him anymore. Then she also says that her and her husband hasn't seen Arnie as much too. Then Arnie's mom tells Dennis that ever since he bought that car, he's been obsessed with it, and she was almost about to cry. Then she also tells Dennis when her and her husband was signing the registration papers for the car that Arnie ended up buying, she said the people told her and her husband the original owner died in the car due to carbon dioxide poisoning. And then Dennis replied saying Jesus. And then Dennis asked Arnie's mother, does Arnie knows about that? And then calmly, but also kind of scared, his mother replied, "I don't think Arnie knows anything anymore." So now Dennis goes back to George LeBay's old house that he's trying to sell. So Dennis ended up talking to George LeBay and tells him that he knows everything about his brother. Then George tells Dennis that he doesn't know anything and that his brother chose to die. Then Dennis tells George that Arnie wouldn't bought the car if he would have known that a man died inside the car. Then George tells Dennis, either you're dumb as you look or you don't know much about your friend. Then George tells Dennis that Arnie had the same look that his brother had about the car. And then George brings up that his brother pretty much loved that car more than anything in the world. And he also brings up that nothing came between him and that car. And if anybody did, watch out. And George goes on to say that his oldest brother had a daughter who choked inside of the car. Then George also tells Dennis that he pretty much kept on driving the car, just driving around with the music loud, with no care in the world, unless it's involving Christine. He also mentions that only time he interfered with the car was after a tragic incident. His oldest brother's wife took her own life inside of it. When George was mentioning this tragic story, he brought up a woman named Rita, and Dennis asked, "Who's Rita?" George tells Dennis that was his brother's wife, and that his brother did not care about his wife like that, and that she died the same way that his brother did. And George brings up the fact that he tried to make his brother sell the car out of respect. George ended up telling Dennis something very sinister, that the car came back 3 weeks later. Dennis said, "What you mean she came back?" George didn't say anything back to Dennis. He just had this weird look in his face, like he had something to say but didn't know how to say it. Now we get into one of my favorite scenes in the movie. So Dennis decides to go to Darnell's junkyard in the middle of the night to do some investigation. This nigga really turned into Sherlock Holmes. So he started looking around to see if Darnell was there. So he thought it was a good idea to look inside the car. So the first thing he seen was a crack on the windshield. Then he looked at the odometer meter. Then he tried to open the car door, but the car door was locked. Then he continuously tries to pull the doorknob, but end up knocking his hand on the door. So Christine was like, "So you want to play games? Okay, bet." So Christine decided to turn on the radio. Then she started playing one of Little Richard's songs, "Keep on Knocking But You Can't Come In." And I ain't gonna lie, when I was a kid seeing this scene, this shit scared the fuck out of me. And the crazy thing is, at the beginning it was very chill, like nothing was really going on too major. And then out of nowhere the fucking radio just come on. This scene had me so scared when I was little, to the point if anybody asked me to go in their car to get something for them, I'm responding like this every time.
No.
So Dennis got so scared, he had to get the hell out of there. He noticed that damn radio started playing and had to fucking dip. This nigga got scared in the moment and realized he was scared in that moment, and then says this.
Fuck this.
And then takes off running like he's a fucking Flash. I'm just sitting here laughing, but at the end of the damn day, I would've did the same thing too. So the next scene opens up with Dennis at his football game. So Dennis is at his football game, and just before they start, playing football, Christine just pull up. So now you got Buddy Ripperton and his gang looking at Arnie's new car. And then Buddy Ripperton brings up, "Hey, ain't that Arnie Cunningham's new car?" Then Mook says, "Yeah, and I know he keeps it at." And I ain't gonna lie, my boy Arnie Cunningham had that shit on. I mean, let's be real. He went from this to this. And hey, I ain't afraid to say it. That nigga got aura. That nigga got aura.
That nigga got aura.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
So now Dennis is looking across from the field, and he noticed that pretty much Arnie Cunningham and Lee Cabot are together. Maybe he was paying a little too much, because he wasn't paying attention to the game at all. So the game is basically just starting, and this nigga started running straight to Arnie Cunningham and Lee Cabot kissing. Now while this is happening, this nigga still just running, looking at them kissing. This nigga Dennis is not even paying attention to the ball. So the quarterback throws the ball at Dennis, and this nigga end up getting folded.
I got this.
All I got to say is this.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Now wait, before I tell you what happens next, I'm going to need you. Yes, you. The person who's currently watching this video right now. If you made it to this part of the video and you've been watching for this long, don't lie, you have. I'm going to need you guys, or the ladies, to subscribe to my channel. And make sure to like, comment, and share. And if you enjoy my content, make sure you turn on your post notifications so you will be notified when I drop my next video. And if you already did those things already, I very much appreciate you, because your support helps my channel grow. Alright, back to the video. So after Dennis gets tackled during a football game, he's pretty much badly injured. He has a spinal injury and he ended up in the hospital. So Arnie was sitting in the front of Dennis' bed, and Dennis asked Arnie, "What is this thing between you and Lee Cabot?" And Arnie just sat there and laughed and made a joke about the fact that she probably just liked him because of his body. But nonetheless, Dennis was puzzling over how Christine managed to get fixed up so quickly and trying to piece together what was really going on. So right after that, Dennis brings up he was surprised that his parents let him register the car, and Arnie replied that they didn't and that he he threatened his parents to pretty much let him register the car. If not, he was planning on to dropping out. In that very moment, in that scene, you could literally see the obsession on his face and how far gone he is. And before Arnie walks out of Dennis' hospital room, he says this sinister line to Dennis: how it ever occurred to you, the part of being a parent, that you're trying to kill your kids? What I took from that sentence or that scene is that realizing that he has to let go. He needs to stop Christine from destroying him, even if that means breaking free from her hold, like a parent having to protect their child from harm. So the next scene opens up with my boy Arnie's on a date with Lee Cabot. So Arnie and Lee Cabot are pretty much kissing in the car. And I guess Lee Cabot felt like she felt some weird energy towards the car. So she pretty much just dipped. So now Arnie's all mad because he didn't get second base with her. So Arnie ended up getting out the car and running in the middle of the rain to go talk to Lee Cabot. And then he asked her, what's wrong? And then she tells him, not right here, not right now. And then he asks, why not? And then she brings up the fact that she hates the car. Then she tells Arnie that he likes the car more than he likes her. Then he tells Lee that that's crazy. And then she asks him who he been spending his time with. So they manage to get back inside the car. Then Arnie tells Lee Cabot, I thought girls supposed to be jealous of other girls, not a car. And Lee Cabot responded to him and says that the car is a girl. So she got mad and slammed her hand on the car. And then Arnie responded to her and said, don't, cut it out. And then Lee Cabot told Arnie, what, you don't like me slapping your girl? So as this is happening, so Christine started tweaking and start seeing red again, because as soon as Lee Cabot started eating that cheeseburger, it was over. So right after she said that about Christine, the windshield wiper just popped up. So Arnie goes in the front of the car and try to push the windshield wiper down, but then the radio cuts on and then you just see straight white. And then this girl just started choking. Arnie wasn't even moving that fast, even though I got this video speed up pretty fast, but he wasn't really moving that damn fast. He was moving pretty fucking slow. So Arnie just keep knocking at the window, but she ended up managing to unlocking herself while choking. And then the dude came and grabbed her and did the Heimlich remover on her. So the random guy ended up helping her from not choking on the food. So Arnie ended up driving Lee Cabot back home. Lee is genuinely scared, and she tries to get through to him, saying that how dangerous Christine is becoming. So Arnie gets defensive, and he tries to downplay it. He says, it's just a misunderstanding, because you can see the tensions arise. This is a pivotal moment because it's where Lee Cabot start realizing how isolated Arnie has become and how much a bond with Christine is pulling him away from reality. So the next scene opens up with Arnie pretty much drives Christine back to Darnell's junkyard as just a usual thing that he does. But you see, Arnie thinks this is probably just a regular night dropping off Christine. But what he doesn't know is this, that Buddy Ripperton and the whole gang is about to trash the car. So now Buddy Ripperton and his whole gang are about to trash the car. Now, before they start trashing the car, this nigga Ripperton decides to just start aura farming for some weird reason. This nigga deadass have that I'm the main character syndrome. And then this nigga decides to fake walk away from the car and then run his ass back on top of the car. Like, that shit had me dead ass cringing, cause what the hell was that about? So now Buddy Ripperton and everybody start smashing up the car, and I'm not gonna lie, they did some pretty good damage to the car. So Mooch decided to pretty much go inside the car and start stabbing up the seats. Then out of nowhere, the radio just cut on and it played the same song when Dennis tried to open the door that night, but Mooch ended up smashing the radio. So pretty much so, the car is now totaled and unrecognizable at this point. So the next day later, Arnie and Lee Cabot are pretty much walking to Darnell's junkyard, you know, to pretty much drive Christine. So everything seems to be just fine. Arnie's pretty much liking Lee Cabot more. Now, in the midst of all these things, you would think everything is just fine. But as soon as this nigga Arnie Cunningham seen that Christine was told her out, this nigga start losing his mind. Even to the point he started crashing out on Lee Cabot. If I were her, I would have been like this.
I'm like, what he say fuck me for?
At this point, Arnie done lost his mind. So now Arnie's at home, and he's now with his parents at the dinner table, having a whole discussion about how his car is being destroyed. Now, I will say, if Arnie Cunningham's parents would have let him keep the car, this would never would have happened. And Arnie Cunningham feel the same way about this. I mean, he has every right to feel this way about this situation. So Arnie Cunningham's mother, she brings up the fact that this is unfair, and she making it seem like her and her husband had no parts in for the reason for his car being destroyed. Then she tell Arnie, let's talk like rational human beings. And then Arnie tells her that somebody took a poop on the top of his dashboard. Then he says, how's that for rational? So Arnie dad tells Arnie that him and his mother are planning on getting him a new car, but Christine got him feeling like he's being betrayed by everybody. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when Arnie dad tells Arnie that they are planning on buying him a new car, Arnie replies and says, I guess that's what everybody wants. And then he proceeds to tell his parents to go F themselves. So now Arnie walks away from the dinner table, and now he's by the front door. And then Arnie dad comes and stops him before he walks out the front door, and then tell Arnie to go apologize to his mother after he told her to go F herself. And then he tells Arnie that he's been disrespectful towards him and his mother. And then Arnie's father tried to grab him and try to make him apologize, but then Arnie pushes him off, and then he proceeds to tell his father to get his MF hands off of him. And then Arnie proceeds to grab his father's neck and gently pat him on the face. And then after that, he tells his father that he's going to hit the knapsack and then go right up to the stairs to his room. Now, if this was a black household, this nigga would not even made it to the part of him slapping his father in the face and talking about he going to his bed. This nigga would have died right then and there. I can't even imagine myself cussing at my own mom. It would have been R.I.P. me. So now, we finna get into my favorite scene in this movie, but also one of Stephen King's most iconic scenes. So after the incident with Arnie's parents later on that night, Arnie goes to Darnell's junkyard. This is the moment where Christine begins to repair herself. Piece by piece, we see dents smoothing out, the windows repairing, and the car comes back to life. This is one of Stephen King's most iconic scenes. It's a perfect blend of horror and obsession, showing how far Arnie has fallen under Christine's control. Now, the fact that this was made before CGI, this is a crazy scene to me, even to this day. And all I gotta say, this is straight cinema. So after Christine self-healed herself, Arnie and Christine are not locked in. And I'm not gonna lie, these two niggas are straight on demon time. So the first person on their hit list is Mooch. So Arnie and Christine are pretty much going on a drill at this point. Now the way Christine got this nigga feeling, you would have thought this nigga did this before the drill.
I'm about to be on some real murder shit. Hey, I'm telling you, man, any nigga that ever looked at me wrong, owes me money, or ever said any jealous bullshit about me is fucking dead.
Now the way Christine and Arnie was locked in, it was like they was plotting a heist. No breaks, no stopping, just full chaos mode. So Mooch hops out of this big flashy truck like he's hot stuff, all cocky, thinking he can just mess with Christine. So Mooch about to walk to the junkyard, all casually, like, yeah, I'm about to show the car who's boss. He end up seeing her across park from a distance. So now as the camera angles are showing him looking at Christine from different angles, Christine pretty much drives away from under the bridge and parks right in front of Mooch. So Christine comes to life. Headlights are all bright, and then out of nowhere, she started chasing this nigga Mooch. So I'm not gonna lie, even though Mooch is a heavy set type of dude, Mooch barely managed to get out of the way before Christine hits him. Now at this point, you would have thought Mooch got away from Christine. But no, she ends up coming from another side of the highway. So Mooch decided to just run into this gate and try to climb over it, but she still ended up going through the gate and catching this nigga. So Mooch decided to just run into this dead end. And I'm not gonna lie, this was the dumbest scene ever because he could have just jumped on top of the car, but he ended up getting crushed. I'm talking about slowly, very, very slowly until he died. The next scene opens up with Arnie waking up Dennis in the hospital, almost celebrating Mooch's death. Dennis tells him he heard that Christine was completely total. Dennis bet $100 that it was Buddy Ripperton. Arnie just responds with a quiet maybe. Then Dennis warns him by saying, what if you fix up Christine and Buddy Ripperton come back? Arnie with a deranged, sinister smirk says, it won't happen again. So the next scene opens up with Arnie leaving school. Before he reaches Christine, a detective named Rudolph Junkins stops him. The detective says everyone in town knows Christine Arnie's car was totaled. Arnie tries to explain the repairs that he did, but the detective says he doesn't see any damages, and that's when the detectives start getting suspicious about Arnie and his car Christine. So the next scene opens up with Buddy Ripperton and his friend leaving the liquor store. So Buddy Ripperton is driving down the highway when out of nowhere a car with bright lights appears behind them. So Buddy's friend thought it was a great idea to flick off the car behind them. So Buddy was like, all right, my turn. So he tried to pretty much back up the car, but Christine Christine was pretty much mirroring this nigga moves. Let me find out Christine's pretty much taskmaster in the car. So Buddy Ripperton speeds forward, pulls into a gas station, and both of them just jump out. Buddy yells, "Who this jerk's following me?" Then Christine suddenly appears out of nowhere and smashes into Buddy Ripperton's car. But this time she doesn't stop. She just plows right through a repair shop, crashing right into Buddy Ripperton's friend and hitting a wall where there's a gas pipe leaking. The whole shop explodes in a massive fireball. And then you just see Christine chasing after Buddy Ripperton, engulfed in flames. But Buddy tries to run, but he's just too slow, and Christine runs him over. So now that Mooch is dead, now Buddy Ripperton is gone too. Now Christine and Arnie Cunningham have one more thing they have to do on their hit list, the big one, Dennis and Lee Cabot. Now before I get into the big one, I gotta talk about Darnell and how he died. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty much happy that he died because he was like so annoying. Now, I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you that his death was well deserved. I'm just gonna leave that up to y'all in the comments. So Arnie and Christine goes back to Darnell junkyard. Well, not really, because Christine was driving herself back to Darnell's junkyard after just getting back from putting Buddy Ripperton and his friends on a t-shirt. So Darnell was in his office waiting for Arnie so he can pretty much close up the shop. So he presses the button to let him in. Now all he sees is Christine all rusted up and burned, covered in smoke. So Darnell decides to pretty much call up Will so he can get confirmation that Arnie pretty much had his car the whole time, because he was confused on who had Arnie's car and why it was so burnt up. So Darnell decided to go grab his gun. So he started pointing the gun at the car and then telling the person to get out the car, when the whole time the question in his head should have been, why the fuck is this car smoking? And how the fuck is this car even able to still drive? So Darnell decides to try to open up the car door, but this nigga still doesn't realize that this car is literally covered in smoke, and this nigga ended up touching his bare hands on the door handle and burned himself. So he had to figure out another way to open up the door. Now as he gets inside this car, this nigga looks in the car and sees no one and proceeds to continue to get inside the car. Now if I was in his situation, first of all, I wouldn't even took out the gun. As soon as I seen that smoky ass car pull up, I would have said this:
I'm too old for this shit.
And then hit the deuces, cause I know this nigga Darnell is not getting paid enough for this shit. And long story short, Christine ended up killing Darnell because she ended up squishing him to death. Yeah, to death. You can't make this shit up. So the next morning, after Darnell's death, the detective Jenkins goes to the junkyard. He immediately starts questioning Arnie about what happened. The detective points out that Darnell is dead, but the car is totally fine. He asks Arnie how the car can be in perfect shape. So the detective brings up to Arnie that Buddy Ripperton was also found dead, amongst the other people that was involved in trashing his car, Christine. Arnie tries to stay calm, but you can see he's getting nervous. The detective's suspicion grows, and you know things are about to unravel for Arnie. So the next scene opens up with Dennis and Lee Cabot have a quiet but interesting conversation about their fear for Arnie. Dennis explains that Arnie is no longer himself. He's changing, and the car Christine is driving that change. Lee Cabot shares that she nearly died in the car, and now she's terrified. The conversation is crucial because it shows how Arnie is becoming isolated and pulled deeper into the car's grip. So that same night, Dennis and Arnie is driving down a highway. The car starts taking over Arnie's expressions. The atmosphere is very eerie, and you can feel the intensity building. It's in that moment the car's grip on Arnie fully takes over, and Dennis realized that Arnie crossed a dangerous line. So the next scene opens up with the big one, the final scene. So you see, ever since Arnie told Dennis to drive with him down the highway, things been looking kind of dark for Arnie. Now remember, when I be saying Christine seeing red and that she's the one that's doing all the bad stuff now, well guess what? Things have changed because now Arnie sees red. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Arnie's really trying to kill his best friend and his girlfriend. So after school, Dennis goes to Christine alone. So this nigga decides to give Arnie a little message and proceeds to carve into the car Darnell's tonight. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see any point or the reason for this nigga Dennis to do all of that, because he could have just wrote Arnie a real damn note with a piece of paper, not his car. So Dennis heads to Darnell's junkyard, and Lee Cabot meets up with him there, and then he helps her open up the gate. So at this point, Dennis and Lee Cabot are waiting for Christine to comfort them. They spot a yellow bulldozer in the junkyard, and then they climb into it, just sitting there for a moment, embracing themselves. Then Dennis leans over to Lee and says, "Go inside and hit the button." And that's when they are about to start the final standoff, ready to crush Christine once and for all. So as Lee heads towards the office to hit the button, Christine suddenly reappears, bursting out from under a pile of scrap metal, ready to run her down, but Lee's quick on her feet, climbs up into a piece of machinery just in time, avoiding getting hit. And then in that moment, Christine literally goes full speed and hits the car, and then tries to back up, but the car is still connected to her. So she literally slings it like it's some type of damn slingshot and hits the garage wall. But Lee's still standing there, frozen in fear. Dennis thinks fast and drives the bulldozer right in between the path, blocking Christine between the machine and Lee. Christine tries to ram through, but the bulldozer stops her cold. She can't get to Lee, and therefore, the first time, it feels like Christine is finally stopped. So right after that, the scene cuts to Arnie behind the wheel. As Christine backs up, you see Arnie's face. He's all pale, completely drained, like all the life is gone from him. It's no longer just a car. Arnie's the one driving, but he's being used and manipulated by the Force. And in this moment, you realize he's not just a victim of Christine. He's becoming her weapon. And now both Lee and Dennis are in real danger. So as Dennis is in the bulldozer trying to get it to start up again, he grabs the pliers, but the machine just won't turn on. And in that exact moment, Christine, or really Arnie, snaps. This is a perfect time to strike. Lee jumps inside of the office trying to get to the button, but Christine lunges forward, smashing straight into the office. And right then, Arnie goes through the windshield. But it's not just a crash. He's impaled by a piece of glass. And in that split second, everything changes. Arnie is gone, and Christine's reign of terror is finally over. So after everything, Dennis and Lee Cabot stayed inside the bulldozer, and they finally delivered the final crushing blow to Christine. Then the scene cuts, then we see Lee and Dennis with the detective standing over what's left of the car. They talk quietly, reflecting on what happened and how Arnie is gone, and now how the nightmare is finally over. So in that quiet moment, after the bulldozer stops, we see Lee Cabot and Dennis standing there, just staring at the wreckage. The music starts playing softly, but you can see in their faces that the fear is still there. They're not sure if they actually destroyed Christine. And then as the camera lingers, you realize it was just a guy walking by with the radio. And in that moment, you see that the horror is far from over. Or just maybe it is.
I was just bullshitting. And you know this, man.
And after all of that, we just left scratching our heads. Was Christine actually evil? Or was Arnie just having a real bad car phase? Either way, I guess we always wonder. And the moral to the story is, just don't buy a used car. And if not, you're gonna end up like Arnie. Sadly, yeah, I'm done. Honestly, I'm gonna just stick to walking. No more 100 vehicles for me. Hey guys, it's your boy Spider J here. If you made it this far to the end of this video, I want to let you know, yes you, the one who's staring at the screen, that you are a real trooper. And I very much, and I mean very, very, very much appreciate your time watching this video. And I should have been dropped this video around in February, but due to the simple fact that this takes a lot of time of editing, and yeah, I'm not gonna get into details. But what I will say is this, I will be more consistent on dropping more videos, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. I really hope this make you laugh or smile or make your day better. And comment down below what is your favorite part of this movie. And just a heads up, I'm on the road to 100 subscribers, so make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and turn on your post notifications so you'll be notified when I drop a video like this. And with that being said, and always remember, be true to yourself, always be somebody you respect, and always be good people. And till next time, Spider J signing out.
Don't let nobody tell you different. You know, keep your head up. Feeling in my heart, I can never waste it. I've been sitting back and being really patient. And all these fuck niggas, they just be damn faking. And all these fuck bitches, all they want is paper. It's kind of funny how things just keep on changing. I can't worry about nobody, how they feeling. I can't worry about this feeling that I'm changing. I gotta burn these bridges just for me to live in. It's called peace. I sometimes I can never get it, cause it be hard.